Hello and welcome to this video about how to organize code for local development on webMethods integration server. So what are we talking about today? In a nutshell, it is about how to store integration server packages on the file system in such a way that makes it easy for us to use version control systems like Git. We need to take into account that integration server requires access to packages through a fixed location on the file system, the packages directory. And the fact that all packages need to be placed in such a single parent directory seems to limit our options to organize things. But luckily, the file system offers symbolic links, also known as symlinks, if we want to store packages in other places, like the designer workspace. This approach also allows us to manage sets of packages, like when we want to switch between application versions or manage completely separate applications. But that is a subject for a separate video. Multiple approaches to the organization of files are possible, and we will look at the following setups. First, keep packages in the standard location. Second, move packages into Designer Workspace. And third, group packages by using subdirectories in Designer Workspace. So let's look at scenario 1, which is keeping the packages in their standard location in the packages directory. All you have to do in this case is simply initialize the existing directory for Git. So let me show you how this works. What you can see here is webMethods Designer pointing to a pretty standard installation of webMethods integration server, or more precisely microservices runtime, but for our case this does not make any difference. Furthermore, I have already created the myPackage package, which is the one that we want to place under version control. To get there, all you have to do is do a few clicks with your mouse. So right-click on the package, choose Create Local Service Development Project, and then create the repository like this. And you're done. What I also want to mention here is that depending on your setup, a few additional dialogues might come up, and that is especially the case if you are using Git and local version control for the very first time. Just confirm those dialogues and you will be fine. What I also want to show you is how the steps we just performed have affected the file system. As you can see, I have moved into the My Packages directory, and now I want to see all the files in the directory. And I organized them such that the directories come first, and then everything is sorted by name. It looks pretty standard, but you will also see that there are two dot files, the class path and the project, and those are Eclipse files or designer files, and they basically indicate that it's using local development. What you do not see is anything related to Git, and that is because the Git directory is a hidden directory, so we need a slightly different command to also show this hidden directory. And as you can see, this command contains, in addition, a /a, which means all files. And if we issue this command, we can see it at the very top, there's a .git directory, which indicates that we are now using Git on this package. So what are the advantages of this approach? In my view, it's actually only one, and that is it's easy to do. But it comes with a number of disadvantages. A pretty big one is that development work is mixed with installed software. The next thing is that there is no easy way to version related files in a single repository. This particularly includes test packages, but also files that should not be deployed together with a package like documentation. So, what is this approach recommended for? In my view, it's primarily for quick tests and demos. For anything else, please use one of the two other approaches, which we'll cover now. The next scenario is to move packages into Designer Workspace. This is a two-step process, and it first moves the package contents into the Designer Workspace, and in a second step creates a symlink that points from the packages directory to the Designer Workspace. Let's have a look. Just like for scenario 1, we have a clean installation of integration server, and I have also created the My Package package up front. Before we start working with Designer Workspace, there's one small step that we need to do. By default, the service development perspective does not show the actual Designer Workspace, so we enable that. To do that, go to Window, Show View, and click Package Explorer. And that is your view into Designer Workspace. Before we start, I want to quickly show you how the file system looks like at the moment. This is the packages directory, and you can see that it contains the My Package package and nothing out of the ordinary. The same pretty much for the workspace directory, which is empty except for the .metadata directory, but that is internal to Designer. So back to Designer, and just like before, a right click on My Package, create local service development project. But now we do things a little bit differently. Instead of ticking this box up here, we go to Create and enter the package name here. Click Finish, and you're done. Let's look in the file system again. First, the Designer Workspace. And we can see that we now have the My Package directory. And if we go in there, it contains the package. And the files you normally expect to see in a package. Switching to the Integration Server Packages directory, we can now see that instead of having the My Package stored there in the normal way, there is now something called junction, and that is Windows terminology for a symbolic link. And you can see that it points to the location in Designer Workspace that we just checked in the other tab of the terminal. And if we now go back to Designer, we can just start working on our package and do proper development, including version control. Let's now look at the advantages of the approach we've just seen. First, there's a clear separation between the installed software and our development work. And second, there's a link between the workspace directory and the packages through the same name. But there's also a disadvantage, and it's that we still do not version other related files together with the package. Again, that is test packages and files that should not be deployed, like documentation. So what do I recommend this approach for? It's basically simple packages, so you have no test package, no excessive documentation, but perhaps some small markdown files that can live within the package. We now come to scenario 3, which is grouping packages by using subdirectories in Designer Workspace. This is done by moving the integration server package contents into a subdirectory in Designer Workspace, whereas the upper directory is a name other than the actual package name. This is very similar to scenario 2, and it's probably easier to show than to explain in detail. So let's go to the demo. As you can see, I have refreshed my demo environment, everything is clean again, and also I have created packages up front again, the difference being that now we also have a test package. Let's also have a quick look into the file system. We start with the packages directory, and here you can see the main package and the test package. And if we go to the Designer Workspace, everything is clean again. So let's begin with scenario 3. I start with the main package and do the same steps like in scenario 2. The only difference being that I use lowercase for the repository directory here. And the reason is to make it distinguishable from the actual package. And here we go. And now comes the part that is different from scenario 2, which is moving the test package. and I use the same location like for the main package. And you can see that Eclipse, this is not a designer functionality, but it comes from the core Eclipse thing. That there seems to be a little bit of a caching problem, but you can see that it's easily resolvable. And here we go. So we now have both packages in the Package Explorer. And if we go to the file system, this is what the designer workspace looks like. And if we go into the package, we can see that the main package as well as the test package have been moved here. Let's jump over to the packages directory in Integration Server. And we can see that, like expected, both the main package and the test package have been moved and replaced with a symbolic link. So you probably already guessed the advantages. Again, we have a separation of installed software from development work, like in scenario 2. But in addition, we can also handle any other files together with the main package. We saw the test package in the demo, but there could also be extensive documentation that deserves special handling, etc. Are there any disadvantages? Well, it's slightly more complex, but quite honestly, I think this is not going to be a big deal. And my recommendation is basically to use it for most projects. And even if you just start with a single package without test package, I guess in many cases, you will very soon have a test package, and then you are lucky or happy if you have done it this way. And that's it for today. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.